Welcome to edition 108 of our Killa No Filler podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn, and Kerry Pritchard McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we have mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
Do you know what I've just thought is that people say the disclaimer is this isn't hero worship. They start there, but you also always say just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer.
I do, yeah.
Which I think now, controversially, is part of the disclaimer.
Well, I think it is, yeah.
But that's not what... People don't join in with that.
Well, I don't know what to say. Sometimes I just don't care about something enough for me to have an opinion, which is quite shocking.
It's just, that's what I've noticed in this moment. Bear in mind, I just have to zip into a meditative state while you do that.
Yeah.
There's nothing much for me to do. And I'm so aware of my facial reactions now. This is being filmed. If I'm like, when you start doing it. Which is obviously what my inclination is like this again.
Yeah, here we go.
If you hear something, by the way, I just heard that my dog, who doesn't work from the waist down, and that's not like a colloquial fun thing, he genuinely was paralysed, broke his back, blah, 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 has dragged himself around the side of the house and is outside our studio.
When a man finds a podcast is happening, they will come out of the woodwork. They've got things to say.
Do you remember when someone sent us a big email about why they should be on the podcast? Do you remember that?
I think so.
Yeah. It's only ever really men who suggest that they should be guests on the podcast, and you're like, tell us you don't listen without telling us you don't listen.
Yeah. Or, but I actually, there has been someone else that's asked repeatedly to come onto the podcast, and I'm like...
Who's that?
I'll tell you after. And it's like, well, you clearly don't listen to the podcast that you claim to like.
Interesting.
What are you bringing to the table? You know, I think more people need to have that thought. What am I bringing to anything, you know?
Listen, that thought plagues me in terms of my personal relationship. It keeps me up at night. It's like, I'm not bringing anything to the table.
What, in your relationship?
Yeah.
You are? Look, I just think some people should just be glad to be around someone's presence sometimes. I do think it's like, all right, great, you do the cooking, you do the cleaning, but I'm here. You know, enjoy.
What
enjoy
a lovely insight into living with Rachel Fairburn.
Just, you know, actually, I do all the tidying, actually.
You do, I see you doing
very
it.
Tidy, very clean.
One thing you don't do, I will say, bulbs, but that's a height issue.
Thank you very much. I can't.
Yeah. High ceiling.
Listen, do you know what, actually, Tim listens to this podcast, so... Let me get this message across, because I've mentioned this about 15 times now. So, Tim, if you're listening, driving along to your office in your car, no doubt, let me say something now. Repeatedly, I have asked for you to put the curtain hooks back into the curtain in the bedroom, because I cannot fucking reach, right? Even stood on a chair, I can't reach, and the curtains are falling off. And this has gone on for months now, so just do me a favour. I was going to ask your partner as well when he was meant to come and stay. I thought, great, he's here. I'll ask him. He'll put Tim to shame. He'll do that for me. But sadly, he couldn't stay, could he? So just do the curtains, because I do everything else, you know.
I'll ask it. I'll get him to do it when we stay next.
Yeah,
I'll make sure that he does it.
It's driving me insane, and I'm not buying ladders.
No, you're not buying ladders for that.
No.
Not for that.
Anyway.
Welcome to the podcast. Any other sort of like domestic gripes you've got to want to get off your chest?
No, other than that, everything's fine.
Great. All ticking over. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. What's wrong?
Are we having a psychic experience?
There's a...
I'm seeing a house move.
I'm seeing the inside of my own eye. Right, it's gone now, whatever that was, yeah.
Speaking of which, I went to a psychic the other day.
You didn't tell me that. Go on.
Well, I thought I'll save it for the podcast. Well, first of all, this psychic was in Hampstead, right? You know what I saw? You know how posh Hampstead is? I had a lovely walk around the graveyard, lovely. And there was some graffiti, right? Hampstead, one of the wealthiest areas in London. It said, grow food, defeat the cost of living.
Oh, for
You're in
sake.
Hampstead, you fucking morons.
Yeah, I'm sure all the people who live at like 18 floors up, you know, in some like a dangerously clad building are like, I think I just need to grow more.
Well, you know what I did realise? I was walking around And it's incredible around there. The houses are amazing. It's just beautiful. And I was walking around going, when I said I wanted to live in London, this is what I meant.
Yeah.
I didn't mean the way I am. I meant like this. This is what I had in my head when I said I wanted to live in London.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
This
that
is what
obviously,
I
like I despise London, not as a, just as a place to work. I find it difficult.
You just don't like it.
Just not my vibe.
Fine.
I'm a country mouse.
That's fine. You don't like it.
But when I go to Hampstead, I'm like, well, I could obviously live here.
Oh, beautiful. Anyway, so this psychic was recommended to me. She's with us now.
She's sent a familiar.
You fucking what? She was, and I sort of flip between do I believe this, do I not? I do think people can pick up on things about people, and I do think there is an ability there for humans to be able to do. But nice woman.
Do you know what?
Is what I'll say.
I'm sort of the same, and then sometimes we're like, do you know what? Can you hear that? Yeah, there's a crow going
Really
nuts
adds
here.
something. I like it.
Yeah, it's quite creepy, isn't it? Sometimes I think, do you know what? If a dog can smell cancer, I reckon a human with enough practice can say, don't get in the car on Wednesday.
Yeah. See, I do think this, and I do think we do. It's just something we're not really in tune with. I know. But I just think...
Go on.
I don't know,
Was she good?
No. Maybe we just weren't... Maybe our...
You've got to find the right one, like hairdressers and counsellors.
Our chakras weren't aligned, or whatever it is. Lovely woman, But,
Spenny, right?
Yeah, which is always a alarm bell.
Really?
Yeah, because I think the people that are good at it, it's not their job. I think if you go to someone who's like 20 quid, that's... Or someone who does it very cheaply... That's because they use that gift as, I don't know, how do I put this? They're not taking the piss, is what I mean.
But isn't it like, because I'm actually good and the others are taking the piss, I can charge wedge for it?
So, in my life, right, there's been 2 events recently that if you were psychic, you should have picked up on.
Yeah.
Like one in particular... Mm-hmm. If you had the gift, that would have been the first thing I would imagine you would have said to me. Not a peep. Now, then, don't bullshit me with this either. I work with my eyes closed. Okay. I used to do that at the library. I was asleep. So, I would... And I'm not having a go at the woman. I'm just saying from my experience, I just don't think we vibed.
You weren't vibed?
Weren't vibed. I'm being shown they're there if you want them. Well, I don't. And
being shown children.
And that's something you should have picked up on. I fucking don't want them. And then the other thing was... but this is the thing. I don't think people... She clearly couldn't gauge my age, I don't think.
Interesting.
So she was like, yeah, and, they're there if you want them, in your 30s. I'm thinking, fucking... I've done all right. Yeah. Woo, this is a great day for me. And I'm thinking, yeah, you ain't got a clue, mate, have you? But then she was sort of like, I feel that this is, the throat, that's the chakra that I'm getting. You've got a very big presence and I'm feeling that the throat. And I'm thinking, yeah. But then I'm thinking, the person who recommended you to me is a comedian. She then told me afterwards most of the people she deals with are actors and comedians.
Right.
She works on recommendations. So basically, 9 out of 10 people come through that door are going to be comedians or actors. So therefore the voice is... I don't want to diss the woman. She had a beautiful flat in Hampstead. And lovely lady. But yeah, just wasn't.
Weirdly, I went to someone's party recently and it was very fun. The dress code was a bit much. Great. It's interesting the variation. Like one woman... And no shade here, but like some people were like, "Oh, I'm in a leopard print dress." My partner and I went big.
Yes.
And there was one. So we're in the bar and it's packed, and there's another little room that, and my partner was like, "I think we can go into that room." And he's like, "Can you see?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I can see." I was like, "There's two women. One's really well dressed and having a very intense conversation. So maybe let's not go through there now." And then later on, they said, you know, like, free bar, there's Rocky Okie, and which is like karaoke with a live band, right laugh. And there's a fortune teller in there. And I was like, okay, that wasn't a guest at the party.
Right.
That's why they were having a tense conversation. But I was like, what an outfit. She had like a crown of antlers on.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought she was adhering very well to the dress code of the party. But every time I went, there was a queue of very famous people waiting to get their fortune told. But so I didn't.
Am I getting any more? Is there any more for me? I want more.
Did I tell you this? That someone I know was telling me they went to a wedding of someone very famous, and they had like a tarot reader or a fortune teller that they use and really rate at the wedding, and the person said to them like, "Oh, your dad's going to be okay." It's like, my dad's fine. Get a call the next morning. Dad was taken to hospital.
Oh.
Like it was like, no, he's in hospital now. I was like, no, he's not. And then that had happened that evening.
Now you see things like that. I do. Obviously, it's true. I believe that kind of stuff. You can. There are psychics that have said things in the past that I've gone, yeah, I don't know how you would know that, but but just want vibing with this one.
But then what happened is people apparently were going like, oh my God, these like fortune tellers are amazing, coming in there and then leaving in floods of tears at a wedding. So like there's like, black laces playing or whatever, and people are just like, says that I am going to have a child.
You might be dancing to black lace. You'll be wearing black lace in the next couple of weeks, I'm afraid.
Should we crack on with this episode?
Oh yeah, so
you're going to do this one?
Yeah, so we're doing it like the format that we did last time, which is we tell each other a story effectively, and we must say thank you to everyone that's come to the live shows.
Yes, thank you so much. When this goes out, will they all be done? Potentially,
I think so.
Maybe.
I admit now, if I was listening to this, I'd be fucking irritated by this point now. I'd be like, can you just get to the story? But there's a real power within me that enjoys withholding that. And I don't know. I don't know why. I feel like a dominatrix not letting someone come, It's quite...
We're standing on your bollocks, metaphorically.
Yeah. So, who am I doing for you? Dana Sue Gray.
Yeah.
It's a woman.
Another woman.
So this is Dana Sue Gray. She killed 3 older women, which I fucking hate.
Yeah.
And she attempted to kill a 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she was born Dana Sue Armbrust. It's a very difficult surname to say for some reason. Armbrust.
Yeah, it is.
In California, December the 6th, 1957, her dad Russell was a hairdresser.
Love it.
And had 3 previous marriages before marrying Dana's mother, Beverly. That's a lot.
I know, I'm not going to... I would say a hairdresser who's got a string of failed marriages, who's a man. I'm not going to say he's gay, but I am going to think it.
Yeah. Although my uncle was a hairdresser, he's not gay.
The hairdressers I meet who are men are either like really gay or the straightest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, he was one of those.
Yeah.
I think I bored you with this before, but I never went to a hairdresser's until I was 21. Because my uncle used to cut my hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the kitchen at my grand's house. So the first time I ever went to a hairdresser's was like the day before my 21st birthday. And I was like, oh, is this
what did you get? The Rachel?
I had, God no. Effectively. I had that.
Yeah,
I go through phases of
you look
that.
great with that.
Although some people say that I don't suit a fringe, but I don't know.
No.
I don't know what's going on with those people.
No, you got a good face for a fringe.
Beverly was a former beauty queen and an MGM starlet.
Love it.
Yeah, I imagine there was a lot of those, though, wasn't there? Sadly, Beverly had several miscarriages before giving birth to Dana. Now,
yikes.
Beverly was described as an aggressive, vain woman. Imagine that.
Well, she was in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm not hugely surprised that a rising star was aggressive and vain.
Well, she never made it, so she's, the aggressiveness, I imagine, was turned up. She ran up a lot of debts on Russell's credit cards, and the last straw came when he found Beverly fighting with an older woman who'd angered her. So Russell was like...
She sounds great.
Yeah, Russell's like, I can't do this anymore, I'm going. And Dana was just 2 when they split up, and after that she rarely saw her father. Now Dana, I'll say Dana, became an unruly child. She'd misbehave. She'd react to discipline by either stealing money for sweets or having violent outbursts, and she didn't like school.
So basically when she was told off, she'd be like, I'll show you, and then
Yes.
she'd go and steal. I mean, she sounds... I think that's what you want from a little girl, right? Yeah. An absolute live wire.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of pizzazz. She didn't get along with other kids at school, and she often played truant and forged notes to get out of class. And the forged notes led to suspensions, which in my opinion is very counterproductive. If somebody's not going to school, make them be at school. Which I will say, and I've said this before, I think, dying art note forgery doesn't... I was the queen digital now. Of the forged note at school.
You were, yeah.
The queen of it. Loved it.
Didn't someone make you like a piece of art that was like Rachel Fairbairn, Queen of the Forged Note?
And it was like didn't they?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
They did. Queen of the Forged Note used to, again, sometimes people would say the mobile phone had just come into existence when I was in year 11. And I remember she sells Juice Plus now. Was like, can you ring reception and tell them that you're my mum? And I was like, yeah, all right. So that kind of thing went on quite a bit. Halcyon days. And I did love the Forged Note. What's wrong?
Ugh, that chicken has got a mouse in its beak.
Yeah, I mean, things I don't want to see, that's one of it. That is when nature attacks.
They are, you forget, they're dinosaurs.
Oh my God.
That is absolutely vile.
That is awful.
Do you know what
that's made me vegetarian.
I've told you this, haven't I? They absolutely love frogs. And so you go through that bit where there's frogs everywhere mating and stuff. And I saw them whip past the front of the kitchen where the glass doors are with a frog, and all the others were chasing it. I thought it was a piece of banana skin in its mouth. It's now dry heaving as it eats the mouse.
I hate this. I hate all of it.
But London's a shithole.
Yeah, this has completely put me off Nando's for life. No.
Yeah, they love frogs.
Seeds.
And I said to my mum, I said, I had to wrestle a frog because it was still alive. Of the chicken the other day. And she went, oh, you're so mean. That's like caviar to them. And I was like, how have you managed to make this worse?
It's like caviar.
I cannot believe it's just eating a mouse.
Oh, God, this is awful.
I'll be giving away eggs for the next 3 weeks.
Ugh. When Dana was 14, Beverly, her mother, was diagnosed with breast cancer.
I'm sorry, I am laughing at that, but I'm laughing at another thing that was disgusting that chicken ate.
Go on, what?
Well, Key did a shit, and then my favourite chicken...
I can't bear this. This is awful.
Then my favourite chicken... I was like... My favourite chicken's called Limpy.
Can you just say that's your dog as well for people that don't know? Key.
Oh, yeah, so Key is...
Because that could have been like...
Oh, yeah. But sometimes people think I'm talking about Tim Key. So I'll be like, oh, yeah, because Key can't walk. And they were like, what?
What's happened to Tim?
Yeah. And I was like, or I got a new wheelchair for Key. And they're like, oh, my God, what happened to him? Skiing accident. So, not Tim Key. Key is Welsh for dog, and that's my dog's name. So... Yes, Key did a shit. And then I was like, oh, I think one of the chickens ate it. And my partner said, yeah. He says, you know that bit in Matilda where Bruce Bogtrotter has eaten the cake? He said that's what the chicken's face was like. Oh, my
God. Please don't. This is horrendous.
It's in eyeshot. I'm having to watch this one I don't like gulp this. Down mouse. She looks really pleased with herself. And it's so funny that they find something and run away from the others so they can eat it in peace.
It's not. I can't think about it. It's not me sick now. And then I've got to eat the chicken. I don't like this circle of life.
You don't have to eat any of my chickens.
Well, I don't want to eat any chickens now.
No pressure there.
I'm out. I'm done. Anyway, a mother's got breast cancer.
Sorry.
Hope you're happy. So Dana watches her mother Beverly be treated by the nurses in the hospital, and she thinks, oh, I like the way that they're looking after her, and I think I want to be a nurse when I'm older. Now, Beverly died in 1975, and Dana moved in with her father, his partner Jerry, and Jerry's former mother-in-law, Norma. So Jerry used to be married to Norma's son, Bill, and Bill died in the early 1980s, but Jerry continued... No, hang on. How can that be?
I'm finding it so hard.
That must be the early 1970s.
Right.
And Jerry continued to care for Norma.
Okay.
Which I think is very nice.
Very sweet.
That's very sweet. Very sweet. Very nice. Now, keep in mind, because this will come into play later, that Dana knew Norma very well.
Yeah.
Now, Dana was forced to leave the house as Jerry found drugs in her room.
Oh. What kind of drugs?
Probably cannabis.
Probably cannabis.
Now, she was training to become a nurse, Dana, but she also had a hobby, skydiving.
What?
Yeah, this is where she met Rob, who was one of the instructors. I imagine she fell for him.
Okay.
Yeah. Lovely humour. She lived with Rob for a few years. He was a bit older than her, and he helped her through nursing school. Dana was an expert skydiver. She was very good. I mean, how expert can you be?
Yeah.
Just throwing yourself out of a plane.
I just don't understand also how you get into that. And also as a hobby, it seems like a very expensive, exhausting hobby, but...
I read recently, well, listened to, if I'm honest, the audiobook of, remember the skydiver, the guy, Emil, what was his, I can't remember his, Villiers, and he sabotaged his wife's parachute. She survived. It's insane. Do you remember this, Owen? Huge news story a couple of years ago. So this guy, he was a right pig. He, South African guy, married to this English woman, have multiple affairs, going to brothels, behind her back, all this kind of stuff. And trying to... Clearly didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, wanted to be off with this other woman. Anyway, she was a keen skydiver. He sabotaged her... Are you laughing at keen skydiver?
Yeah, it's just a funny phrase.
She's a keen skydiver. And he sabotaged her parachute, and she hit the ground, but survived.
What?
Yeah. He's now in prison. But it's a mad story of...
I don't understand, like, so he's written a story about, like...
No, she wrote...
She wrote the book.
Written
okay.
the book about what happened.
Wow. Fucking hell.
I couldn't skydive. I don't like heights.
Did she, like, break every bone in her body, that kind of thing?
Oh, I mean, yeah, she was fucked, yeah. But not as much as you would think.
Really?
For falling from that height.
Ugh.
I mean, that horrible panic that you must think is like, oh shit, it's not working.
Yeah, of course.
Brilliant.
That's probably why. That would if I went to pull a parachute and it didn't work, I'd be like, yep, I knew this happened. I got completely limp. Like, of course. And I'd be absolutely fine because I was so relaxed when I hit the ground. Yeah, of course, I'm dead now. Just close my eyes until it happens. Oh yeah, the chicken's now directly outside the door.
I absolutely
cleaning itself.
Hate the idea of skydiving. Like I don't like heights. I don't like any group activity. So it's just it's my worst nightmare, I think, skydiving.
This is going to sound really bad and based on nothing, but you know when you skydive, you've got to strap yourself to someone. The kind of person who is a professional skydiver, I'm like, I don't want to be strapped to you.
No.
I think it'd be annoying.
Yeah,
and I think your hair would smell.
And I'm going to be awful here, but it's the same vibe I get from skydiving that I get when I see men with their bikes. Do you know what
it's
I
just
mean?
the thing that you have to be, that you can be like really boring about and there's lots of equipment. Yeah.
And it's like yesterday when I was on the train, two blokes got on with their bikes and it was like, oh, we're going somewhere with our bikes. Do you know what I mean?
They got the little pedals where you got to click into them.
There was a bit of that, and they had the gear on.
And the bum pad stuff.
But yeah, like, oh, look at us, we're going out on our bikes because we're big boys. Like, we've got our bikes. Look at us going fast on our bikes. Fucking hate it.
My partner used to work in a cafe and there was, it's like on the coast of Ennismore, so lots of cyclists would go and stop there for a coffee, and he didn't mind like, mums, loads of kids, anything like that, old people. He was like, fucking cyclists were there today because they've all got their like, tiny little pouch and they'll be like, I'll get this, and he's like, oh, fucking big, it's like £6, you fucking cunt. And like, and they make a big deal over stuff and and then like count out their pound coins one by one. He just hated
What
them.
is the psychology behind, and of course not all cyclists, but a lot of them, and I'm not, no shade because two of my friends are very keen cyclists, but four of my friends are very keen cyclists. I'm distancing myself from these people. Keen cyclists, but they're they're not cunts with it.
Yeah, But it's like anything, right? That like there's every hobby I think that has the capacity for someone to be an arsehole with it.
Absolutely.
But just cycling just feels a lot more prevalent.
I must say, Owen, do not clip this up because I do not want the cycling community on my back.
Yeah, apparently they're quite...
Oh, they're cons. They're cons. They're awful. I remember once that I tweeted something like, what is wrong with, like, blokes on bikes, like the aggression, and it went bonkers. A mutual friend of mine and Will Duggins is a keen cyclist, and Will wrote, well, you tell Chris that. I went, yeah, I will. I just wrote, I'll tell him to his face when he's on his bike. You know,
Will Duggan trying to stir?
yeah, but I had to delete it because it was just men going in. Like, oh, your little bike. You're going fast on your bike.
I don't think there's any hobby that I do that someone could make a crap comment about that I would be like, say anything to. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, fine, you don't get it, or whatever.
Yeah, like, that's it. The thing is, it's like, I get why people would enjoy a bike ride or, you know, going and doing your extreme cycling. I understand, but what I don't understand is the attitude of these people.
It's your attitude, guys.
Yeah, and it is mostly men. So, how we've sorted that. Rob was one of the instructors. She lived with him. He helped her through nursing school, and she became an expert skydiver. Mm-hmm. So, in 1981, she graduated from nursing school, and she became involved with a windsurfer called Chris Dodson.
Every day is like one of those, you know, those presents you get for people you don't know what to buy for. It's like, and then she had a day at test driving an F1 car. Red letter days.
Red letter days.
Yeah.
Do you know I did windsurfing?
Really?
Yeah, at school, which makes it sound like I went to a posh school. However, let me tell you where I did windsurfing. Debdale Lake in East Manchester. And it was one of these, you know, I think, you know, every school in the area gets, like, you know, Mount Carmel are going on Wednesdays.
Right.
And Thursdays. And it was fucking freezing. It was depressing. It's just this big lake, man-made lake in East Manchester every fucking Wednesday. Just windsurfing. It was horrible. Horrible. Because, you know, when you're a kid and someone says, oh, great, this group are doing windsurfing, you're doing this. And in your mind, you're imagining, like, the Caribbean.
Yeah. There's blue skies, there's a beautiful surf, you're cutting your way across it. and then you come to rest on the golden sand. I suppose, like, watch that dog shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And another sex worker's been murdered.
But also, I was so shy that you were meant to take a spare pair of trainers for windsurfing, because obviously you had your wetsuit and then you had a pair of things. But I didn't, and I had a brand new pair of, I say brand new, newish pair of Reebok trainers. Bit of a curveball for me. Used to be Nike or Adidas, bit of Reebok. And I kept them on, and then obviously fell in the water when I was windsurfing. And because I was too shy to say that's what would happen, I just kept these wet trainers on all day and just went.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, I can't.
You gave yourself trench foot?
Yeah, because I was too shy to say anything. Just went around in these wet shoes all day because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And
Didn't they hear you squelching about?
Well, I don't know, but I just didn't.
That's
I
really
didn't say
sad.
anything. Yeah, but this was it.
No, that you were wearing Reebok.
As I say, bit of a curveball for me. Money must have been tight at that time. But yeah, Reebok.
I do like a Reebok classic.
Reebok classic is a classic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so windsurfer. She excelled at golf.
She's very outdoorsy.
Very outdoorsy.
She's like Richard Branson.
Very very active. Her relationship with Chris Dodson was on and off, but they went to Hawaii several times to participate in their sporting endeavours.
Wow.
However, in 1987, Dana marries a man called William Gray.
Right.
And that's where her surname comes from. They got married in an upscale winery in California. Bill was also a sports enthusiast.
Yeah.
And he'd admired Dana since high school.
Oh, that's quite sweet.
Well, she was what you don't know is he was a teacher. She was a very impressive athlete, apparently. Looked very striking with a physique and a blonde hair. You know, I imagine it's that very 80s.
I'm imagining Princess Diana.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining. It's that
Cycling shorts.
80s active sort of look, you know. I'm enjoying it. Bit of aerobics, like that aerobics video.
Eric Prydz, is it?
No, the one you showed me, the aerobics championships.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd never seen that, and you showed me that. And I thought, oh, wow, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. Do you know it was 9 years yesterday that you showed me that video? Because it came up on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. So it's 9 years since I brought that Jack Daniels round to your house with the tag still on.
Yeah.
So the marriage, though, became very troubled because Dana got the couple into debt from shopping. This is what she loved doing. She also had become estranged from a lot of her family. She had stepbrothers and, you know, she became estranged from them because there was an argument over an aunt's will.
Right.
So by this time, though, she was a nurse. She was working as a labour and delivery nurse at the Inland Valley Regional Medical Centre, and the couple, they were living in Canyon Lake gated community. Now, I don't know. I kind of like the creepiness of a great gated community.
Is a gated community, we don't want poor people coming in?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I think
that
there's
right?
Yeah, and it's all very sort of, you know, like Disney have housing things. I love that creepiness that everything's the same. Everything reminds me of Erie, Indiana. You know,
And
everything.
John Benet Ramsey's house was like that, right?
Kind of, yeah. You know, there'll be
Yeah.
like a man-made lake, and that's twice I've said man-made lake. And it's not often that happens, is it? Not often that happens.
There's a man-made lake, loads of kids from Manchester weirdly trying to wet.
One's got wet trainers on, sculpting around. Very strange. So they lived in these, you know, gated community. Listen to this though. They also had the couple also had several businesses under the name Grey Matter.
Really good.
Yeah, Grey Matter. Awful. Oh, I hate it.
It's the kind of thing that someone comes up with who's quite thick, thinking it sounds really clever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dana actually left Bill in 1993, and she moved in with their friend Jim Wilkins.
She's having a great time, isn't she?
I know. And his young son Jason. And she filed from divorce from Bill. Spoiler alert: this wasn't actually finalised until she was in prison. What's she going to do?
Awful.
In September 1993, Bill and Dana filed for bankruptcy to stop them losing the house.
So this is grey matter.
Well, we'll get to that. The house was worth more than they'd paid for it, but they owed more than it was worth. Listen, I've just written here, I switch off with anything to do with money and houses. So I never have any.
They weren't in negative equity, but they owed a lot.
Kill me.
So, the house is worth 100 grand and they owed 200 grand.
Sure. I can't bear anything.
You have such like a weird 50s wife attitude towards money.
I just don't, because I'm used to not having any. Yeah, I do. I pretend that it doesn't exist in my account because I'm so scared of being skinned. I'm like, well, that's there, but that's not real.
No, really.
Yeah.
I'm terrible for doesn't matter how much I own, or just always spend up to it. You know, like, because also I'm like, I'll just go and work more. I've been lucky because I've always had work.
Yeah,
that I've been able to find it.
Yeah, I think back now and I look at the wages that I was on at the library. How did I live?
Yeah,
how did I live? How are people living? Because I couldn't live then.
Manchester, I was on 14 grand a year, and that's before tax.
I just remember getting paid and like everything would go out of your account, and you'd be like, you've got fucking 200 quid to live on to the end of the month. It was insane. Anyway, in November 1993, Dana was sacked for misappropriating Demerol and other painkillers.
Painkiller,
yeah.
Right.
Thieving, essentially.
Was she taking it or was she selling it?
I'm not sure. I think selling because she had this shopping addiction.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
So on February the 14th, 1994, Valentine's Day, Dana contacted Bill's parents. Now, remember, they've split up and, grey matter has gone into liquidation. Is that what people say?
Yeah, well done.
Bill had kept his address and number hidden from Dana because he was like, I don't want any contact with this woman. She said that she wanted to meet him and his parents passed on the message. And he agreed initially, but then he's like, nah, do you know what? I don't want to meet her. I'm not going to show up. Now, it was later that day that Dana committed her first murder.
What?
Yes, and Bill later found out that she had a life insurance policy on him.
So she was going to kill him?
But yeah, that would have paid off the Canyon Lake house in the event of his death.
Oh, wow.
So, the first victim, 86-year-old Norma Davis. Do you remember Norma?
Yeah.
From before? She lived in Canyon Lake as well. So, February the 16th, 1994, Alice Williams, who was a neighbour of Norma, he's a neighbour of Norma, if you know what I mean.
And a hairdresser.
Now, she called in and found Norma with a wood-handled utility knife sticking out of her neck and a fillet knife sticking out of her chest.
Oh my God, that's awful.
What we learned from that is Norma is a woman who clearly enjoyed cooking. She had all the right tools, didn't she?
All those knives. Start from the outside, work your way in.
I'm at an age now where I keep thinking, do you know, I'd love a good set of knives. Do you think that, Owen? Owen's nodding. Yeah.
Well, I bought some for my partner because he cooks.
Yeah.
I'll show you when we go in the house.
Well, with my Hello Fresh now, I just need the right to... Hey, listen to this. Now, this isn't... This is just about cooking in general. I now, often, when I'm coming home late after a gig, often I've made something the day before and it'll be in the fridge ready for me to heat up. Or I think, you know what? I'm not going to get a McDonald's. I'm going to whip myself up something quick when I get in.
Really?
Yeah,
You're a changed woman.
What a cunt. Hey, what a cunt.
So can I just... So basically she clearly was going to murder her ex-husband to pay off the house and then has just built herself up to just kill someone she knows.
Well, possibly.
Do you know what it reminds me of? This is bad. You know when you... well, I'm not going to say this like this is a broadly observational bit that people are going to identify with, but I remember when I was younger and I'd go out for a night out. I know I'm like, right, I'm going to shave my fanny tonight. You know, get everything ready. And then, you know, because you're like, so-and-so is going to be there. And then they wouldn't be there, or they'd have copped off with someone else. And sometimes I'd be like, well, I am going to bang someone because it's a waste of the effort. And I wonder if it's the same with her. She's like, well, I've brought the fillet knife this far. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, I've promised it now.
Well, if I was going to anyway, so I may as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, the only thing, Norma had a broken fingernail, but no other marks on her. Now, it says, the information was, it said, a bloodied Afghan lay at her feet. Now...
They mean the dog?
I think they mean a coat. Afghan coat. I don't think they mean a person.
But, well, what is it? Oh, yeah, because it's the 70s.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say
80s.
coat?
Well, I don't know. I mean...
Sure? I think
maybe
they've
they meant
killed a dog.
kaftan.
They've killed a dog, an Afghan dog.
No.
An Afghan hound.
No, you can't kill... there's no way you're going to be able to kill an Afghan hound. They're fucking massive.
They're the ones that are like,
yeah,
please
oh my God,
don't. I've got knots.
They're beautiful. Oh.
They look so much like... I've seen... in my life, I've seen 3 sat in passenger seats of cars where it looks like a woman is sat there.
They are beautiful. I'd love one. There's
really?
Someone near me's got one. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, they're so nice. Those Bernese mountain dogs.
Oh, yeah, they're massive, aren't they?
What a looker. They are so handsome. Hello. I don't think I could have a dog like that because I get sick of people stopping me to say...
I thought you were going to say I'm worried about fucking it. the way you've just been talking now. Couldn't have a dog like that. You're too tempting.
No, I'd be worried about it. People like, yeah, I get it. Move. Anyway. So,
oh, you want to try wandering around with a cardigan Corgi with 2 blue eyes that's in a fucking wheelchair if you want to... what happened? I'm like, he fell off a ladder when he was painting the outside of the house. So fucking bored of it. Oh, he's happy though. Yeah, obviously I'm not being like, I'm trapping him in misery.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's all right though, isn't he? It's so... Yeah, I couldn't be bothered with it. Anyway, so I don't think it was a dog. I think it was a coat. Who knows? There was no forced entry to the house, and Norma always kept a door locked unless she was expecting a guest. A Nike shoe print was found pointing towards the kitchen.
Well, it wasn't you.
Wasn't me. They also found Norma's $148 social security check, and there was a blood smear on the armchair, and the phone had been ripped out of the wall.
Right. So the check, that means it wasn't stolen?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, just a few days later, on February 28th, 1994, just 2 weeks after Norma's murder, 66-year-old June Roberts was killed. You know what makes me sort of laugh? They're classed as older women in this. That's not even old now.
No, it really isn't.
That's not old, is it?
I'd say, the first one was 80-something, right? I'd say that we can say that that's old.
Yeah, 86 is elder.
Yes, pushing 90, I'd say.
66 isn't.
66 is, it's, you still be on the GB News sofa at that.
You're fine, 66.
Not GB News. Good Morning Britain. I get them confused.
Well, I mean, there's not much in it now, really.
What are you saying? Alison Hammond is going to pop up on GB News?
No, she's not on the Good Morning Britain. She's on This Morning.
No, she's not. Who is it? It's Dermot and Kat Deely, isn't it, these days?
And she's on... And Alison.
No, wait, that's This Morning.
Yeah, you're thinking of This Morning. Alison Hammond is on This Morning.
Listen, it's all the same to me.
I can't imagine anything worse than watching breakfast television. It fucking depresses the shit out of me. Not daytime TV is depressing as it is. Reminds me of being off school sick. You know, that noise.
Homes Under the Hammer.
Homes Under the fucking hammer. And, that's what they called... That was the version we got in Manchester.
Homes Under the fucking hammer.
I just, that noise. In fact, TV in general, I can't... I don't like the noise of it, I find it annoying.
I just find this is a very boring deep cut thing, and probably mainly for Owen. When I watch daytime TV, I feel like they never do a grade on it. So it all just looks really like pale and like flat.
Yes.
And it's like they haven't colour graded it.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's dreary.
Dreary.
Very
yeah,
dreary. So February 28th, 1994, 66-year-old June Roberts was murdered. She also lived in the Canyon Lake gated community. And Dana had visited June saying that she wanted to borrow a book about controlling an alcohol problem. I've just got written here, I hate people who lend you books. I fucking hate it.
People who give you a book and say, read this.
Yeah, but this is it, right? And I don't know if I've mentioned this on here before, and please do tell me if I have, Owen, because it really bugs me. When somebody says, oh, I've got a book, and then they hound you for that book to be returned.
You haven't mentioned that before.
Have I not mentioned this?
Because it's quite a niche
like,
thing.
You fucking lent me this. I didn't ask for this. You've now... Like, you're now like fucking Liam Neeson trying to hound me for this book that you've lent me that I meant to find time in my life to read.
Whose book have you lost, Rachel?
No, it's not that. it just fucking pisses me off. It's like, I've got a Kindle, just tell me what the book is. You know, I go into Waterstones, I take a picture of a book, I download it on my Kindle. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Kenneth Jr., that's my Kindle.
Because Kenneth
died, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as you can see, we need to know more books in our life.
But I mean, I do have a lot of books. But what I will buy is I'll buy books that are probably out that you're not going to be able to get on the Kindle. You know, Phone Calls from the Dead, for example. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, just just tell me. Oh, there's a book I think you'd like. You know, unless it's a book. You know, from the 14th century. About something.
It's bound with the flesh of a disgraced man.
Yeah, unless it's that. Yeah, lend me that by all means, because it's not like I can download it. But just piss off. So she goes in. She wants this book about controlling an alcohol problem. So June's like, yes, come in, and she starts looking for the book. June. Now, I mean, can you imagine a more annoying situation? You're just living your life. Someone knocks on it. Have you got a book? I come back. Fuck off. So, as June's looking for the book, Dana unplugs the phone. And then unplugs the curly cord of the phone and strangles June with it.
Oh my God.
It takes a lot of doing, I think. 'Cause So once she was dead...
You can tell she's athletic, Dana.
Well, exactly. Once she was dead, Dana took 2 of June's credit cards and just an hour later was on a shopping spree at an upmarket shopping centre in Temecula.
Surely incredibly easy to find out that it was her then.
Please. Bear with me. Bear in mind this is the 80s as well.
Yeah, but we still had CCTV then. Oh no, it was the 90s, wasn't it? Because Colin Island was one of the first people that they used.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for where people have spent things, maybe it was a slower system. It's not like now.
Yeah.
Look at you, person of the millennium.
Sorry.
Now. I want it now. What's a book?
Fuck off.
I fucking hate people. Not you, young. You know, I hate that. It's not all young people, but you know that vibe that I don't know anything. I wasn't born then.
Oh yeah, when people love saying, I actually wasn't born then. You're like,
oh, piss off.
But it's because some people go, oh God, and like lean into, and you're like, yeah, all right.
But the argument is, I
wasn't born when loads of things are around that I know.
Yeah, I wasn't born in the 50s, but I know who Henry VIII is. Have an awareness of the world, you know, learn things, engage. Anyway.
But don't forget we're in that weird generation, right, where we can remember life before the internet and then grew up with the internet. So we are a peculiar, you know, time in history.
I would say so. So, now, hungry.
My stomach is rumbling.
So... all this is happening, and the residents of Canyon Lake obviously are very concerned, you know, and worried what's happening. Families were moving in with loved ones until the. You know,
oh, really?
Yeah. So they got a grip. A group of elderly widows began sleeping in big groups.
Love that.
That'd be a great.
Invite
night.
me to that sleepover.
Yeah, oh, there'd be champagne, I reckon.
Yeah. There'd be so many...
Cooking.
Especially this area.
Oh, it'd be wonderful.
They'd all be talking about how they had affairs with Clark Gable.
Lots of people believed that the murders were similar to the Manson killings of the 70s.
Oh.
They thought this is a cult. They're engaged in ritual sacrifice. They're coming into the gated community.
Yeah, because they're
killing elderly... I mean, 66, not that old, but elderly people. Now, the detectives were struggling for suspects, so much so that the supervisor in charge recommended using a psychic.
Perfect.
There's 3 children here. They're yours if you want them. I don't. So one of the detectives, Joseph Greco, wasn't being taken very seriously because he had a very youthful appearance. So people assumed that he wasn't up to the job.
Oh, what? So he was going around questioning people and was like, why are you sending a child to my house?
Yes.
It's like you and the psychic.
It's like me and the fucking psychic. It's like me with a lot of things.
If you were a police officer and you turned up to my house, I'd be like, no.
Oh, yeah, the policemen are getting...
Yeah, but like, for a start, her attitude stinks. And secondly, she's a child. I'm not telling her anything.
Yeah, if you sent a kid. Now, Jerry Ambrust, Dana's stepmother, she was a suspect at one point. Why? Because the police were like, well, we think it's odd that she would continue to care for her mother-in-law, that her husband's dead, and also because she wore Nike trainers.
Right, okay.
Now...
Just clutching at anything at this point, right?
But also, this annoys me. So she'd also dropped groceries off at Norma's the day after the murder, but she dropped them and she just heard the TV upstairs, so she just shouted, hello, I've got your groceries here, and then left, and detectives were like, well, that's weird. But I don't think that is weird. I mean, what if you're busy and you say, oh, I'll just drop a few things off.
Yeah.
You assume that she's fine, I don't know. But then detectives apparently built a strong bond with her. I think that means they fancied her. And this helped solve the case eventually. Now, June Roberts' bank called her family to notify them of massive spending in the Temecula area of California. The detective then went and visited all the establishments where the card was used. And this ranged from beauty parlours, spas, restaurants, clothing shops and jewellers. And they got a description from staff of a petite blonde woman who'd recently dyed her hair red. And she often had a 5-year-old boy called Jason with her. That was Jim Wilkins' son.
So she had dyed her hair to, like, mix it up. How do you know that she's a petite blonde woman who's recently dyed her hair red?
Well, she went to hair salons.
Oh, so she was...
So they'd be like...
Oh, of course.
Oh, well, this woman came in and the cat, then she had her hair dyed red.
Do you know what? Nightmare. If you've murdered someone and gone on a killing spree and you've included going to a hairdresser in there because they get the guts out of you.
Oh, they're nosy.
I'd be like, oh, God, sorry I've got blood on my hands.
But also, I think... I don't think she did that to disguise herself. I think she just did that because she wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no sort of... I think it was just like, well,
I've always fancied red and now I'm a murderer.
Yeah, why not? New year, new me. So March 10th, this is the third victim, but it wasn't murder. So March 10th, 1994. So this is all very quick. It's more of a spree than a serial. But
there's a bit of cooling off.
Yeah. So, Darinda Hawkins, 58 years old. Again, not that old. Was working in a shop called Main Street Trading Post. It was in Lake Elsinore, and it was a picture framing and antique shop. I imagine we'd enjoy it. Dana came in allegedly looking for a photo frame, to put a photo of a dead mother in. And as Darinda turned to get something for her, Dana strangled her with a telephone cord. Now, she obviously thinks that she's dead.
So she's carrying this cord around with her?
Yeah, she's carrying it around with her. So she took $5 from Darinda's purse and $20 from the till. Now, Darinda had fought back, but Dana thought she'd got the better of her and she was finally dead. Then she went on another shopping spree using June Roberts' cards. Darinda survived, obviously, and gave a description of the attacker to the police. Now, the story was in the paper the next day with a photo fit. Now, Jerry Armbrust, who Norma's daughter-in-law, saw the story and the sketch, and apparently she almost choked on a coffee.
Really?
Yeah. She phoned Detective Greco, and she's like, I think this is Dana. The hair, she's recently dyed her hair red. She's got that child with her. That child. The fact that she was known to Norma Davies and June Roberts.
Yeah.
And Detective Greco's like, okay, I'm going to get a search warrant. Unfortunately, he received it late on the day of the 16th of March, and in that time, she'd killed somebody.
Yikes.
On the morning.
Oh, fuck.
Of the 16th of March. 87-year-old Dora Beebe. It's quite a cute name. Dora Beebe, isn't it?
Really glamorous.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? She came home from a doctor's appointment. Now, Dana knocked on her door and asked her for directions. So Dora invited her in to look at a map. Oh. Dana attacked her and killed her, and she was found by her boyfriend of 8 years, Louis Dormand, and her daughter, Julia.
Love that she's got a boyfriend.
I know, it's cute, isn't it?
Norma Beebe.
Yeah, of course she has. An hour after the killing, Dana used Dora's credit cards on a shopping spree. Now, Dora's daughter found her because she was worried that her mother wasn't answering the phone. And on the day that she was killed, it was the 15th anniversary of her father's death, and Dora always felt sad on that day. And Julia and Lewis drove round, and they found her bludgeoned to death on the bathroom floor.
Oh my God, what did she use? I thought she was just strangling
it was an
her.
iron.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. So Detective Greco goes to the house that Dana shared with her boyfriend in Wildemar. They found a wallet containing $2,000 stashed in the washing machine. There was jewellery, clothes, and labels still on. Like it says to me, no one's doing the washing in that house. There was June Roberts' bank cards, bank book and house keys. They found the keys to the shop where Darinda had been attacked. They found Dora Beebe's credit card. That was in Dana's lingerie drawer. Do you have a lingerie drawer? Your personal question.
No, I've got a plastic tub. You know those things that you have that slide under the bed?
Yeah.
Got that. That's where I put my socks and my pants and my bras.
Yeah, I have a tote bag for socks and a tote bag for knickers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A tote bag full of knickers. Oh my God, if you put that on eBay, Rachel, it would make an absolute fortune.
Also, Tim, just another little thing as you drive into your office, no doubt. Stop wearing my socks. I've got.
How are they even fitting in?
Well, you know what he does? He goes, "Oh, they're very snug these because they're not yours. You're a size 10 shoe, and I'm a size 3, mate." I've got a lovely pair of socks with cryptids on.
Oh,
you know, the Mothman, Bigfoot, that kind of thing. Oh, they're in Singapore now with him.
No, that's out of order.
Yeah.
I have a tote bag full of unpaired socks.
Because that's my house.
There's so many.
I can't bear it.
But it's because people always stay at my fucking house and then leave one sock here. So I'm like, I've never owned this. My partner's never owned this.
Don't.
But you don't feel like you have the agency to throw it away?
I just got someone to collect my old socks.
What do you mean?
There's a charity that comes and collects used socks and bras.
Right.
And do whatever they do with them.
What, single socks?
I think they might take single ones.
Please.
Look, it was a man in a van. I think he's wanking over him. I don't know.
Sniffing the bra, sock on the cock.
Anyway, I can't bear odd socks either. I can't bear it. Sends me in a downward spiral. It's everything that's wrong with the world. Please don't. So the detective then had only learned of Dora's murder 30 minutes before he went into Dana's house.
Oh my God.
Now, she was arrested for forgery and possession of stolen property, and she was taken in for questioning. So after over several hours of questioning, Dana admitted using June's cards and therefore implicated herself in the murder. She said that she'd found Dora's bank book and cards, and she said that she'd even been in the house and saw the body, but she didn't kill her.
She's not thought this through at all.
She said that she didn't hand over the card and book as she got desperate to buy things. She said, shopping puts me at rest. I'm lost without it. It's a bit live, laugh, love, innit? She also admitted to leaving 5-year-old Jason in the car when she killed June.
Oh, what? So he was just in the car?
Yeah. And then she took him shopping and for lunch. Not a bad day for him, I suppose. She was charged with the murders of June Roberts and Dora Beebe. Also charged with the attempted murder of Darinda Hawkins, and she was detained without bail. She wasn't charged with Norma Davis's death, as they didn't really have enough direct evidence.
Oh, God.
Friends of Dana were shocked.
Yeah.
They said, she was a lovely girl, and she was a really good neighbour.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because I'm like, how can she just go for, lunch after killing someone?
Oof.
But I guess she's so used to having wild spikes of adrenaline from skydiving and then just being like, now I'll drive home.
Well, others said that her life had begun to fall apart after a divorce and that she'd become strange and withdrawn.
Right. Because it doesn't seem like there's a history of violence or anything like that before this stuff.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe it's just...
But the deceptive part of us there, running up credit cards and, you know...
Or the shopping addiction side is certainly there.
The trial, 8th of April 1994, Dana pleaded innocent. On June 23rd, Richard Bentley, the deputy DA, announced he would be seeking the death penalty due to the brutality of the murders.
Yikes.
Several psychiatrists were employed as as her defender, Stuart Sachs, believed that circumstances in her life led her to having decreased mental function.
Right.
He wanted to prove, like, she'd been a respected registered nurse, a married woman.
But you should know she plays golf, so obviously there's something fucking going on.
And had, in 1993, gone through extreme stress. She'd lost a job, a marriage broke down, she had miscarriage, she lost a house, she was on antidepressants and felt suicidal. Now, these are just life. This is life.
Well, I don't think that goes, and therefore she should murder people.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're going for diminished responsibility, right?
Yes. So 10th of March 1985, Sachs entered an insanity plea on Dana's behalf, and the defence psychiatrist said that she was insane due to events in her life. That's how I feel. You could say that about anybody, couldn't you? Aren't we all just a little bit mad but holding it in?
But I also think that I just don't think, she had a tough year, is an excuse for murdering people.
And there's no insanity here because she lied about it. So she, she continued to do it and knew that it was wrong. So therefore she's not insane. The prosecution psychiatrist said Dana was well aware of her actions and clearly had planned them. Team prosecution. The trial still hadn't happened 3.5 years after her arrest. She was in the interim. She the divorce is still going through from the husband. She was due to be charged with Norma's murder, but then Dana changed her plea to guilty of robbery and murder and attempted murder, and this meant that she avoided the death penalty and also no charge for Norma's murder either, which I think's a bit unfair.
Yes,
because she did it, and that's just not fair, is it?
And also, like, it means that with stuff like that, I'm always like, oh, okay, I get it, fine, they've got a conviction, but doesn't it also mean the families aren't able to access, like, victim compensation and things like that?
I mean, you're mentioning money again, I ain't got a fucking clue.
What a princess.
The sentencing took place over 4 years after the murders. On October the 16th, 1998, she was sentenced, and she made a statement to the court reminding people about a caring background of nursing. And she said, I'm ever so sorry, it was a bit out of character, that. Which, put it mildly. And she was sentenced to life without parole, and she's in California women's prison in Chowchilla.
So she didn't get the death penalty?
Didn't get the death penalty.
Okay, that's positive.
Yes, absolutely against the death penalty. I am 100%, but then people with bikes get on trains and I'm like, oh, I can't. Just these two. But yeah, so that's it. She's in prison. Wow.
And she's been quite quiet in there.
Yeah.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report, no.
Well.
Nothing. Justice has been served, but not for Norma. But she did do that as well.
Well, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And thanks very much.
I almost said thanks for having me then. You do at the end of a podcast. Thanks for having me. You don't mean it.
Yeah. And we'll be back. We're going to record another episode.
You're on tour.
I've just started my tour. So I will have done 2 dates at Mac Comedy Festival. I'll probably have done Stoke to possibly single figures. And then the next few dates are, sold out. So I'm, got some tour dates in May. It all properly kicks off. I've got about 100 dates. Most of them are in the autumn, but please do come and see me on tour. You can check out my website for more details.
I'm going to Edinburgh.
You're going 2 shows at the Fringe.
2 shows at the Fringe. Come if you want. Don't if you don't. That's on sale wherever, edfringe.com, I imagine. And I will be updating my website at some point.
I just had mine redesigned.
Oh,
yeah, very
nice.
happy with it. Very happy.
Snazzy.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
Nothing to report. All good. Thank you for having us.
If you live in Cardiff, please come to my huge show at the Millennium Centre, which is too big. It's 2,000 seats too many, quite frankly. But there we go.
Just do the show. Whoever's there will be there.
Yeah, but you know me, I'm like obsessively check ticket sales and stuff.
See, you need to stop doing that. You just need to think.
No, I like being in control.
People have bought tickets, the show will be happening.
Oh yeah, and I'll do a good show, whatever, but if I can push it and get, Anyway, this is where we come at things very differently. And the next episode, 109,
yes.
I'm going to be talking about Iceland's only serial killer.
Ooh.
Yes, the supermarket chain has its own syrup. It's Kerry Katona. That's the big reveal. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to everyone who donates to the Patreon.
Yes, thank you.
And apparently as well, if you subscribe on Apple, they've stopped everyone subscribing. So if you could resubscribe, that helps with everything. Very boring, isn't it? But
with these things.
Bye.